I'm Eric Newton, and this is The Together Show. We all know relationships take work, but what is that work, and how do we do it? As a former divorce lawyer, I've watched thousands of couples break up firsthand. Having seen the worst in relationships, I decided to try to help couples stay together. So on this show, we talk to real couples and find out what love really looks like.
So I knew that there was this hole that needed to be answered some way for him. And it could mean that he would go off in another relationship, or he might find another solution. Because if something drives you for a long time, it's like the thing that orients you, and that's gone. That's very disorienting when it disappears.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you like what we're up to here together, please click on over to iTunes and leave us a review. It helps us to expand our reach when you do that, so thank you. And you can also check out our crowdfunding campaign at patreon.com/together. That's patreon.com/together. We're just getting off the ground here at Together, so every penny really helps. Thank you. Now on to the show. Today's episode is part 2 of an interview with Katie Nelson and Doug Winter. Now, if you haven't listened to part 1, you might want to go back and do that because it'll give you some more context for what's going on today. That said, today's show really does stand by itself. Now, to recap, in Tuesday's episode, Katie and Doug shared with us the story of how they came together and stayed together, and we discussed their somewhat unconventional approaches to parenting and to life in general. Today, we go a bit deeper and we explore the questions of infidelity and sexual power dynamics. So with that, let's go to part 2 of Katie and Doug.
I think there have been 2 times that we've not lived together over the last 39 years or whatever.
As in you...
We lived in separate places in the same city because one of us wanted distance from the other one.
It's essentially a separation.
It was a separation twice.
Separation leading towards divorce, or just a, hey, let's take some time and cool off?
I think we took time. I mean, I don't think we have never talked about divorce. Just to see how this will play itself out.
Yeah.
Is this something you really want, or is this something that you need to just get out of your system?
Yeah.
And I think in different cases, like what Doug was, you can say whatever you said about what you were needing. I know when I did it, my thing was somebody was finally recognizing me for some of the art I was doing, and I felt actually nobody ever did. I have plenty of recognition, but sort of more internally respecting what I do, and it was part of my midlife crisis, and so I'm just.
This doesn't do it justice.
Okay, go for it.
Well, it was a Greek. It was a Greek god.
Or Doug.
I mean, let's call it how it is. This is a serious stud, a thing of beauty. Well, who also was supportive around the art thing and was great dance. There's a bunch of stuff that fed into this, but the fact of the matter, it wasn't just sort of.
I love this.
It wasn't as simple as.
Should I tell you how beautiful the women were you were?
You both should do that.
I didn't pretend it was something else. Is all.
But see, the thing is, I think you don't get is I didn't see the part that you're seeing. I was interested in the support artistically.
It's entirely possible. I do believe this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't notice the Greek god.
Well,
part.
but you were each going for it. Sounds like in your respective non-monogamous periods, were each going for the thing that you felt like and believed that you needed.
Yes.
And then you went and okay. Let's back up. Can I get a little more detail around this so I can understand the context? So what led to your period of non-monogamy?
I think I I was in the middle of, I danced professionally for 22 years, and then I stopped and I started choreographing. Now, that's a long time to dance.
Yes, that is.
I started to guest choreograph, and I think this person who was a dancer in the company that I work with sort of slipped into my life, and I felt kind of supported in a way that I'd never felt before.
Yeah.
I can also tell you in retrospect, I think it was someone trying to rise up in the power structure. Of course, I didn't see that of the organization. Yes.
Right.
So I think it was...
That's to say, using you as a stepping stone.
Using me as a stepping stone. But I think that I just got some kind of emotional sort of support that I had never had before.
Now, did you communicate to Doug, hey, I'm going to do this thing?
No, I remember once sitting at a table, he goes, "Where are you every night?" And I hadn't really thought about what I was doing, honestly, because it was partly related to work. And then I said, "Oh, God, I think I might be in love with somebody else."
Because it wasn't sexual yet?
That's right. He was gay.
Oh. Yeah, that's great. You whispered over the mic to
Whisper
me.
to the mic, yes.
There's
Classic. This is my welcome to my world.
I love it. So you were having an emotional affair.
Yeah, I was a little physical.
Which was a little physical. Wow, fascinating. Okay, so
come on, what's gay? Come on, give me a break.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
None of us
Yeah.
really knows.
None
It's
of
just-
us knows what any of it is.
Yeah.
So there was something, and but did you have an agreement in the relationship that this sort of thing was allowed to happen?
Remember when I said I miscarried the day we were supposed to get married?
Yeah,
We had been
yeah.
up all night.
Yeah.
And I said to Doug, I didn't tell you the whole story. So I said to Doug, "What should we do?" And he goes, "Let's just do it." And I said, "What about the monogamy thing?" Because this
Yeah.
had already been an issue in our relationship.
Yeah. Oh, because
When
was
I
the 70s.
yes, exactly. And I was married to dance, and I loved Doug. But Doug wasn't married to something like dance. Doug was interested in people.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "I don't know, let's not worry about it now." And I said, "Okay, let's get married." So that has been something held up in front of our marriage the whole time.
Because you never answered the question from
That's
the
right,
get-go,
because we didn't have
one
an
way or the
answer.
other.
I think we didn't have an answer.
And are you saying that either answer would have been fine, but it would have been better to have given one at the time, or was it okay to let that?
I think that I opted to be with Doug
Yeah.
as opposed to getting married. I don't know whatever the thing marriage meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I said at the time, I wasn't even sure marriage meant anything, although it did in retrospect. I mean, immediately retrospect, as soon as 2 days later, it was over. I mean, the ceremony.
Did you start having desires for monogamy when those other feelings kicked in 2 days later?
I felt monogamy, I would have to say. I mean, I think I was monogamous and Doug hasn't been.
Did that feel like a betrayal? Because we haven't talked about Doug's...
Always it does. It's very difficult, but as I say, you just sort of hang in there.
Yeah.
I don't think I doubted Doug's love of me, but I felt like he needed this thing. Now, I do want to say the last time this happened, which was about 7 or 8 years ago, so not so long ago, I thought, okay, this might be it. I think he might move on. So, he didn't, but I did think it at the time. And that's because she was younger. She had a young child. I know there were a lot of triggers for Doug. I think the whole thing for Doug about raising his son is maybe up until that was like the main thing that drove his life.
Yeah.
And then when Haley started to really be on his own, I think there was a big thing missing.
And you still had the arts.
I did, yeah. So I knew that there was this hole that needed to be answered some way for him. And it could mean that he would go off in another relationship and be a dad to some other kid.
And you started to predict this already.
I just knew that it was a possibility. I just carried it in my mind as a possibility.
Yeah.
Or he might find another solution or another way to fill what I would say that hole.
Yeah.
Because if something drives you for a long time, it's like you're the thing that orients you, and that's gone. That's very disorienting when it disappears. It's not completely gone. You're always parents.
You seem fascinatingly agnostic as to what might drive Doug to, or how Doug might fill his hole. It's almost as if the motivation isn't what's triggering for you. If it turned out that what Doug needed was sexual stimulation and you were working, that would carry as much weight for you as if he needed to raise another child and so went and spent time with another woman in order to do that. Is that true?
What I felt, actually, because we were in therapy at the time, I felt that the sexual activity was not as pulling on him as trying to be a parent for that kid. I could feel that was the thing that just hung in there, hooked in him deeper than the other, and then sleeping with this other woman. And
so did they scare you equally? Or trouble you equally?
I think they did, because one was sort of an immediate disregard of myself, and I also felt like, that is, sleeping with another woman, but I also felt that the child thing was going to, if he was going to become a parent to another kid, I did feel a little sort of a deep sadness for my family, for Haley, Doug, Katie family.
Right.
Different kind of loss.
And you hear from many people who are in relationships that either one of those is is enough of a boundary cross that they leave the relationship. That's it.
Yes.
Even if he would even think about it, would almost be enough. But certainly that he would go explore it. Why did you stick around?
Well, I always have. It's not like this has happened before. So, and it was also exactly how we started our relationship. And I still want to say that I feel like Doug's body is my home.
Yeah.
And maybe intuitively I feel like actually Doug really loves me. And this is okay in the long run, even though he has these things he has to go through.
Yeah.
I think some part of me may actually know that, even though when those things are going on, you don't believe them. You don't want to hold on to them because they could be really destructive to you if you did.
Yeah.
So.
Is trust an issue in this context?
So I have moments where I think, oh, he's seen somebody. And I realize, no, that's actually me feeling disconnected because I'm too involved in work and I need to reconnect to Doug. I realize that the paranoia shows up because of my disconnection.
Wow.
And
this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
And I do check it out. But actually, I think recovering or going through the transition back out of the last time we had a really difficult time, I think I wasn't meditating by then, but I was definitely doing yoga pretty seriously. I could see the difference between my reaction and his behavior and started to work myself through so I could... I wasn't projecting a lot of stuff on there as much as I would have earlier in my life.
Yeah. Wow. So it's funny how the concept of trust isn't the relevant issue.
Well, you have to remember we're pretty big about trying.
Yeah.
To expose. That's what talking's about.
Trying to expose. Just be transparent.
Everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Not just with each other.
Yeah.
We'll say shit in public that's, I know that...
Well, you're doing it now.
We're doing it now, but I do it in the next generations down. They report back that we say stuff that they just kind of can't believe that we say, and it's because I don't think secrets are useful to anybody. I think.
Why did the question of trust raise that answer from you?
Because the reason you would not trust is if you think there's something going on you don't know.
Or you don't want to know.
Well, whatever.
I mean, that's what I think happens to a lot of people.
That's what trust's about. If you know what's going on, what's the question?
Yeah.
It's the hiding and the lying and all that shit that goes. And if you have
a reliability, right? Too is another factor.
Absolutely, but that's all. If it's clear, it's clear. If it's if it's exposed, it's true.
Yeah. And none of this was about reliability, was it? It wasn't a question of...
Yeah, I mean, I want to tell you that the beginning part of our marriage, I felt like one thing that Doug gave me that I was so profoundly grateful for is freedom. He let me do what I wanted to do. And...
In lots of ways, career...
and that made me deeply love him. Now, I do think at some point along this last 40 years, remember Doug realizing, well, I really think I don't want to give you, I thought I wanted to give you that much freedom, but I actually would like you home more.
He was saying that, or you were saying that?
He was saying that. It's like he thought that's what he needed, but maybe I don't actually need that.
Now we're getting into the meeting of pathologies.
Yes.
We were very lucky as a couple, as two people, about the symmetry of our pathologies and our early family stuff and the damage that came from all that. It was a very nice meeting. We mentioned it in passing around child rearing. I could raise him the way we wanted to, and she was back. We met equally, blah, blah, but the reality was the lack of conflict was in part our being ships in the night to some degree.
I needed freedom. He needed me not to be around all the time.
And the reality is I deeply distrusted women. Deeply.
From your childhood?
And it's shown up in my contracting career. It's shown up in my relationships with women now. I'm much better because I realize it's my story. I mean, when we start abstracting this stuff and call it an analysis, if you will, I know it's my agenda that I'm laying on these activities, and I have this feeling there's unspoken demands being made, and I can fix it. The male thing. It's a bunch of shit that I carry forward from troubled early childhood, and it's displaced onto women in my world. So I know that my refusal to, in my world, give you power by committing, let's say, is tied up in that. And kind of directly, it's an interesting counterpoint to my determination to be present. Not just for him, for you. I'm determined.
Yeah.
Well, this is,
Yeah.
something's not
lined up here.
Yeah.
I just also want to say, when this stuff is going on, it's brutal. I don't mean to say like I'm thinking, oh, he needs this, he's filling his void.
Right.
It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
But there's some part of me, a deep part of me, that's trying to understand the bigger picture.
When it's happening.
When it's happening. And there's a whole part of me that's freaked out.
And that's why one of the reasons you're not running.
I'm sure it's one of the reasons why I'm not running. Also, I figured out there's no place to run to.
Say more about that.
I think that, there's no place to run to. Either my life will be here or it'll be somewhere else. You have to I really believe you have to be friends with yourself.
Oh, you're going to take your shit with you.
I'm going to take my shit with me, whether it's with Doug or somebody else. So there's no place to run. You can be with yourself. And he might be there, he might not.
Yeah. when Doug, you have these great insights about, I guess I'll call it our experience of ourself. And when you say them about yourself, they're neutral because you're saying them about yourself. Sometimes you'll make an insight about Katie of how she's carrying her shit. And I'm curious if that ever triggers you, Katie.
Because you're noticing that I'm not reacting to him.
Yeah.
When I could have twice reacted to him.
There have been so many moments where other couples would have said, well, don't you dare
You son of a
tell me
bitch.
Yeah. On one hand, I think you're right. But on the other hand, it's a boundary that we don't usually get to cross in culture. And you guys do it, or Doug does it pretty easily.
Constantly, yes.
I don't know. I think I'm sort of an insular person. I have my own things that I think about. I don't see that is affecting me. It's his opinion. That's the best way I can say it.
And he might be right or he might be wrong. And if he has an opinion that's...
Well, he always thinks he's right, but I'm pretty sure he's wrong half the time.
Right.
But he thinks he's more right than I think he is. That is something I do also carry around in my head.
Yeah. But it's interesting because on one hand, you were saying earlier that you've got to have that support structure.
Yes.
In order to thrive,
Yeah.
which is so true. And on the other hand, what if one of you has an opinion about the other that's kind of critical?
That's not support structure, though.
This
is part of the whole
about
presence
it.
thing. You just get you be there, right? And the fact that I'm willing to express it already is part of support structure. I think. I experience it that way. I'm willing to tell you what I think. I'm willing to tell you what I see. I'm not couching myself and being careful. I think this is, and I will be here in the next minute. It's not a rejection. It's an observation. You can carry these things in a couple of different ways. One's hostile, one's critical, but I think we're calling things by their right name or trying to. We're not perfect, but I think that's more like what we do.
Also, the thing you just said about your not trusting women and the thing you said right when we first got together about the monogamy and why you held that out because of power, right?
Yeah.
I agree. But I didn't at the moment understand. But over the years, I've seen actually the other relationship Doug had early on in our relationship was not as important as the one I had, but I never knew it because he held out.
Why would I tell you that?
Exactly. So I know this about him.
How could I do that?
I don't know. I thought it was sort of an asshole thing to do.
Well, I think it would be like manipulative to tell you.
Well, I think it was
get what I want,
manipulative to not tell me, actually. But anyway, I think it was because... How do I feel about that? I realized that Doug has actually really loved me, even though he didn't cop to it too much. In the beginning.
I think you've got it right.
And
I think you've got it right.
I don't know, maybe, but see, I think my feeling about this is that I think I know this on a really deep physical, primordial level.
Artistic level.
Not artistic, not abstract, but a deep physical level that there's something right here.
Yeah.
And whatever gets played out, I trust this body thing.
Yeah, because it's still there.
Yeah.
And if it went away?
Well, one of us, I'm starting to get freaked out. Like, one of us is going to die. Shit. What's that going to feel like? I'm so used to this.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
that's a different issue.
Yeah.
That's the going away I look at now.
Yeah.
Which is different than marrying somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, I was asking a different question, which kind of isn't probably relevant, which is what if you stopped feeling that, but you were still together?
Oh, interesting. If that went away, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's open.
Yeah.
So I've been referring to these stages you guys have had as non-monogamy because it almost seems like you don't hold them as infidelity, which is a much stronger word. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, for me.
Yeah.
And for you too?
I would say they're non-monogamy.
Yeah.
As opposed to infidelity.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So what happens? Have you ever had the experience of another couple coming to you and say, we've experienced infidelity, and asking for advice? Has that ever happened to you?
Can I tell you something? When the first time this happened with Doug and me, I went to a male friend of mine who I felt pretty close with, and he was a musician engineer friend.
Yeah.
And I said, can you tell me from your perspective how you feel about this stuff? And he goes, oh, I love my wife and I sleep with all sorts of women. I mean, that's what he told me. I was like, oh, so interesting.
So non-traditional. Wow, what a courageous, transparent guy.
Yeah, he just laid it out. He goes, it has nothing to do with whether he loves you or not.
And you
I trusted this guy.
He wasn't my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had
no.
no agenda that way.
Yeah, none. He was just a professional friend.
Yeah.
And I thought, I do sometimes think we're different creatures, male and female.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I said that, but
Well,
I
I was
just know
asking
that
what advice I was basically gearing up to ask what advice would give to couples who've experienced infidelity, as opposed to not, or think of it or holding it as infidelity, whatever this. It's like you said earlier, Doug. We kind of can't define any of this stuff, but whatever it is, well, what do you say?
I mean, I honestly would ask the person who's, quote, falling in love elsewhere, it's like, you should sit and think about what you're really needing right now and why. What is that about? Is that about your self-worth? Is that about how you saw yourself and you're not that person you saw yourself as? I mean, I usually think there's some internal thing going on that is not really self-aware. Now, I also want to say there are some people who say, oh, I got married, but I felt this person. I'm happily married in my second marriage, and the first one wasn't right. And I'm always curious, like, how do you know?
Because you say so in the end.
Yeah. But clearly something different happened in the second marriage that was right for those people. I think a lot of it has to do with your expectation of your life and what you see that relationship, how you see it, what it's supposed to mean to you in your life.
I think this is as close as I'd get to advice around this, is to try to figure out what story you think you're telling yourself, and not you're going to reject it because you call it by a particular name, but if you can call something by its proper name, you have a chance of manifesting what you want. You have a chance. If you don't call it by its right, if you're operating on autopilot and just, reactive, and then I think you have no chance. I think you have no chance. So I think this is a problem of the intellect, a problem of intelligence and applied analysis, not a problem of reactivity. And as close as I can come.
It's almost like you're saying infidelity or non-monogamy or anything that might happen in a relationship isn't ever causal unto itself. It's symptomatic.
That's
yes,
absolutely. I'm totally convinced of this.
And so the path, if you will, for a relationship is to bring the unconscious mechanisms to light.
That's right. That's right.
Which is how you grow as a human.
And it takes a lot of practice, hence all the exposure all the time.
Yeah.
And also non-reactivity. If you're non-reactive and exposing, the odds go way up that things will work out a little bit.
Well, work out is a subjective concept even in your universe, right? Like, because you're almost saying having an agenda is false in a way. What matters is
What's surely false is having an unexposed agenda, an explicit one. Now, the more you can leave off the story that you inherit, the more you can let that go and try to look at what you actually feel and think yourself. That's great. But the first step is to call it by its right name, to get it in the light, for sure.
I want to say, come back to get to know yourself, because, some people are marrying that shouldn't be marrying. I mean, like, shouldn't be marrying. They probably should be on the road traveling, or I don't know. I think we get caught up in this thing that we think we need something because society says it. So that's why I say come back to get to know yourself. And
well, it's also the thing you can do.
Yes, it is.
That you can
That
do.
is within your
Otherwise,
means.
you want to get lucky,
Yeah.
But this you can do.
Meaning get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like it's the essence of your entire experience of being alive. This is the process of being alive, is to get to know yourself and unearth these unconscious processes and
don't keep it secret.
Be transparent about it.
Yeah.
But is it right that you could go do it on your own? You could go.
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing a marriage podcast then, though, would we?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it would, because it's almost like you're saying there's something about being together that amplifies that process.
Well, I was like, you get fucking pushed. There's a lot of things you wouldn't ask for.
That's good.
Yeah. You get pushed.
Yeah, it does.
You get forced to face some things.
And then from that perspective, you might as well just stay together.
Yeah. Okay. This is my kind of boy. This is my kind of boy, right? You might just as well. That's right. You can take your shit somewhere else and reinvest it and wind up with the same result. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
And arguably, maybe, the longer you're together, the more potent that process can be.
It's helpful to have an agreement that you want to try. If that can be explicit, that's helpful. We do have this explicit.
Yes.
And we're explicit about a couple of other things. If we see something, we have agreed that we're going to point it out and be non-reactive.
Yeah.
Explicit.
I mean, there's a whole other part of marriage, like, honey, you didn't close the bathroom door.
Right.
Why did you leave the soap on this side? And I swear to God, that stuff I think can kill a marriage.
Yeah.
And we have some things like that. That's not actually we're fine with the bathroom door being open, but I'm just saying that we have some things that I do that drive him crazy, and he has some things that he does that drive me crazy. And I'm sure about every 7 to 12 years, one of us is thinking, God, if he does or she does that one more time, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And
I'm actually arriving at a different place around this.
Well, we're starting to be.
Oh, do I really give a shit? I mean, I'm asking myself that a fair amount. And lo and behold, it's part of not being willing to fix the whole world. I've also kind of arrived at that, the whole contracting question. I'm not going to fix the whole world. I'm not going to fix the whole world. And that includes my manipulating you into doing things right. It's clearly nonsense. So
I just know that can get in the way of actually the relationship.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of room sometimes. That's true.
Yeah, and maybe it actually just doesn't matter.
But I was really back to the pragmatic things, that there are some basic pragmatic things that need to be in place that people can function, I think.
Like scheduling and financial management.
There's some, yes.
Although
I think
those
they're
can
different
trigger.
Yeah.
Well, we have so much that we could talk about. Did you have you look like
I
you've
have
got
just
a
a
point.
few things I want to say that are fun.
Okay.
So we got married at City Hall, and we came home with the wrong marriage certificate. That's one thing.
Which we still have, and we really like.
We think it's great.
I think it's great.
Whose names are on it?
Rodriguez and something. It's a Hispanic couple from Central America.
I wonder if they have yours.
We have no idea who has ours.
It's a funny closing anecdote to such a lovely approach to marriage. thank you both for being on the show. I have a little game that I like to play at the end called This or That.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to one that's going to play it badly.
No, I wouldn't count on it.
So the way this works, it's a pretty simple game. I say this or that, and I point to one of you, and you answer which one you prefer.
Okay.
And then we'll hear from the other one also. So I'm going to start with a simple one that, who knows how you guys are going to react to this. Facebook or Twitter?
Crap.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Can't help you there. Equal shit. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm so glad I asked that. Katie?
I would say Facebook because I don't know Twitter.
You don't even know Twitter.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, another relatively easy one. What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Dishes a little. I like doing laundry. There.
Okay, so he's asking me, Doug.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're looking at her? Okay, sorry.
I think I'm going to say, because I said to Doug I would have a kid if he got me a dishwasher, so I must like laundry better.
Okay, laundry.
Laundry, okay.
Yeah. All right, now, if you had to choose a superpower, flying or invisibility?
I thought it was going to be Russia versus the United States. It's a political question.
I'm not that deep.
What kind of choice have I got? A superpower. Telepathy.
That's so good. I knew you were going to go out. I knew you were not going to choose one of my two. I guess this is my prediction. Thank you for. Okay.
Shit, now I'm in competition. I was going to say flying.
Shit's not a superpower, though, yeah.
I was going to say flying.
Your dreams, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then two more. Enlightenment or $100 million? Katie first.
I would say enlightenment.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Enlightenment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always ask that one. I don't remember the Indian guru who said that, but I think his famous thing was if you're offered enlightenment or $1 million, take the $1 million because there's nobody to experience the enlightenment.
Oh, very funny. Yes, very funny.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected. I'll take them both too, or however you
I'll
did that.
I'll take it all. Okay, and then last question. If you had to live forever, or die in the next 5 minutes, which would it be?
Die.
Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys.
That was an easy one.
That was an easy one, yeah. For you. Some people agonize over that one.
Wow.
We're old.
Well, that's it for the Katie and Doug interview, folks. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about Katie Nelson at the ODC Dance Company website. That's odcdance.org. She's the co-artistic director there at ODC. She's had quite an impressive career, and I think you'll really like learning more about her. I'll put that link in the show notes in case you didn't catch it here. If you liked what you heard on our show today, please leave us a review on iTunes. It makes a big difference when you do that. It helps us expand our reach. You can also find our crowdfunding campaign at patreon.com/together. That's patreon.com/together. If you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like to be on the show, please reach out to us via one of our platforms. You can find our website at www.together.guide. Our Facebook is facebook.com/togethershow. Twitter and Instagram are both at together_show, or you can email me at host@together.guide. Our producer is Charlene Goto. Our web designer is Courtney Mona. Our art director, and my one and only, is Aubrey Pick. She's waiting for me by the pool. I'm about to go join her. Thanks once again to my guests, Katie and Doug. Guys, it's all just a story. That's all for today, folks. See you next time.